Yep, stack.
Triple threat.
Expected value. Now take what you learn, go out there, and get stacked.
Alright, back. I guess I'm about to start what I will call part 3 of this. And just get straight back into it. I think I said everything about the previous hand. So going straight back, obviously playing King Jack if it folds to us, but it is not. And against a shortish stack min raising, then there's nothing we can do. His shove range is actually above King Jack, and he might be min raising quite heavy under the gun anyway. So although it can be noted that a lot of players will be raising light under the gun as a short stack just for that very reason, that we can't really do anything about it. But equally, unless we know specifically who it is, we generally can't. I folded Queen 3 suited here just because there's another big stack and I feel that he's going to be playing back a lot, and Gregor is a shove stack and we can't call off. I wouldn't mind in this spot maybe going about 3x if Via here wasn't a good player, because then Gregor would know that we have to call off his shove, so would be shoving less wide, wouldn't be shoving stuff like 7-8 suited. But yeah, in this spot I imagine that it would have been better for me to just fold it. Here with King Jack, again we could 3-bet, we could fold. Calling would be bad, I think. Just with a shove stack and 2 big stacks behind us, we're just going to get squeezed a lot. So yeah, folding's perfectly fine. Not playing 3-4 suited, happy to see that. Sevens, I feel this is a spot where, I don't know, how deep are we? We're just under 20 bigs, so calling is not really that good, I think. Let's see what it is. Yeah, I 3-bet with the intention to get it in. I would be doing this dependent on how loose I think Dav 1, 2, 3, 4 is opening. So if I think I have fold equity, then I should be 3-betting to call off a shove. And when he does shove, he might be shoving ace king, ace queen, ace jack. And we get shoved on by someone else. And then cold called, I remember this spot, and then cold called here. So at this point we have to look at our pot odds. We're getting about 3 to 1. And we have to think what kind of hands we're up against. So I'm actually going to bring up, hang on, if I can get Equilab open. 1 second. So yeah, I just did my first attempt at using Equilab ever, and I came up with this. I gave the first player that shoved here, I gave him quite tight range. I think that once he cold calls there, he's going to be 9s. I think he's probably priced in with 9s through aces, ace queen suited and ace king. And the other guy, I think he's on 15 bigs. Even though we've raised under the gun and I've 3-bet, he does have to get it in with 10s just because he may still have fold equity. I think ace queen suited and ace king off is a fair enough range to be up against. And we put 7s. We got 7s, so we ended up having, I'll bring over 21%, 22% equity, and we needed 25% equity. And that's not even taking into account the fact our tournament position. So if we called and lost, we'd be a short stack. Whereas if we fold, we still got 30 bigs, and I think there's such a massive difference between having 30 bigs and having however many bigs that would be, less than 20. So yeah, I think we should fold there. I think I did. So yeah, fold, and yeah, we're up against ace king king, so we were against those hands not getting the right odds. I think the only hands we could really be up against if it were ace king and ace queen, or ace king and ace king, then we'd be getting the right odds. But apart from that, if there's a single pair above us, we're not. So that's a fine fold. Not having that. Just make sure that I'm just going to note who's raising our big blinds just for future, so we can think how we would adjust to how like people are opening our blinds. So we don't want to be perceived as a player that is just folding all the time, so we want to play back against the right people. And nothing interesting there. So could open ace 9. Just looking around at the stacks, I feel I'd prefer if I didn't. just because there are quite a few people that can shove and play back, but equally it's fine, and there's one of the people that can shove. You do have to keep continuously raising quite a lot at this stage, just because the blinds and antes are so big, and we want to be playing higher variance quite loose, just so we maximise our chance of getting to the final table. Not opening that. Queen 6 suited will be a defend against some people, not against a shove. So next hand. I imagine, nope. Not opening any 2 on the button apparently. And yeah, that'll be because Veer and Gregor will probably be competent players. There's no need. And it looks like it was good that we didn't. So carrying on to the next hand. And as you can see, I'll go back and look at what they were doing there. Veer here has just over 20 bigs, and Gregor has I don't know, 18, 17, I don't know. But Veer decides to shove here, and I think that a lot of good players will start to do this quite wide. I think King 5 might be a bit too much to shove that many bigs. I think that's a bit too loose, but it'll be close, and it does go to show how wide you should be shoving blind versus blind. And yeah, Gregor's call is really standard. You have to also be aware of, say if you're playing in a micro stakes tournament, I think a lot of people do shove a bit tighter than they do in higher stakes tournaments, so you need to be aware of what kind of range that your opponents will be shoving on what kind of stakes. Even if you don't have stats on the particular opponent, you can judge it by what you think the average player of that stakes will be. Anyway, carrying on, we get aces again. And we get shoved on, and it's an easy game. Not even a slight sweat. Not opening Queen 8. Fives. I wouldn't mind a fold, I wouldn't mind a raise here. Sorry, I raise. And we have, folding would just be because the stacks are kind of shallow and under the gun we get played back quite a bit. But raising we did just show down aces, so people might be a bit, I don't know, a bit more apprehensive about raising or 3-betting us light. Definitely playing ace 10 if folded to, and we get folds, which is good. I think a lot of the what people call rungas, getting lucky in tournaments, is just spots like that where you're raising, and with ace 10 if you get a steal, it's quite a considerable amount of chips at this point, and some people get more lucky with their steals, and I think that kind of thing's overlooked a lot. I feel that we have been getting kind of lucky with our steals recently. Definitely raising ace jack. There's 7 hands at the moment, and yeah, the antes are worth stealing. And when Dav 1, 2, 3, 4 calls out the small blind against under the gun, his range is quite narrow. It's hands that he doesn't want to get in pre-flop. He doesn't want to 3-bet because they're not strong enough. But equally, there will be quite strong hands because to call out of position against under the gun, obviously it's going to be a strong range. So yeah, we would probably put him on hands like 8s, 9s, maybe 7s, yeah, and 10s, then hands like ace queen, and that's pretty much it. I think maybe ace jack suited, and when he folds I think he's going to have ace queen a lot there. And as you can see, you can put people on an extremely narrow range in those kind of spots. Here with queen deuce, it's the same kind of spot as before, but we're getting better pot odds because now the antes are bigger. And it's suited as well, so that I think that's kind of it's an okay defend. I think a lot of people wouldn't. I like to in those spots. See what goes on here, and we have Gregor barreling off his whole stack in a bluff that looks like it didn't make much sense. I'm going to look at that and just see if we can analyze something. So yeah, he c-bets, which, you know, yeah, he has quite a strong range under the gun. But he also has quite a wide one because he's, you know, he's going to be trying to go for the win. And he calls. This guy's got king queen. When he double barrels here, he's going to be double barreling spades, ace king, sets, 8, 9, and hearts. and he calls. And when the river comes, he's got a pot size bet left. So when he bets, he shoves actually. So when he shoves, he can't really have ace king and a set. So that takes out a good number of his value hands. And for him to have a flush here, he would have had to have barreled air on the flop, which is a bit less likely into two people. And also, he could have 8-9, but only 8-9 suited would raise before the flop. So there are only four combinations of 8-9 suited, so clubs, diamonds, spades, and hearts that would be there by the river. And yeah, I think just the way I think when he shoves there, he has got like a small amount of value hands, but I think quite a lot of the time it's going to be a bluff. And as you see, yeah, I think Master Scott shows a good call. I think Master Scott is the one that plays a decent part in the later parts of the video. We'll get to know him in quite a fun way. Yeah, I'll just skip these. So Ramiro AK, I definitely recognise. I think I recognise him from cash games. I think he plays 2-5 Zoom quite a lot. So I kind of know how he's going to play, and it'll be quite similar to the way I play. In post flop at least, I'm not sure about pre flop, but he'll definitely know how to play post flop. With ace queen here, I don't really want to get it in because we're quite deep. Hang on. Yeah, we're like 35 deep or something, and 33 deep, and I don't really want to get an ace queen in a spot where I've raised from early position and been 3-bet. But even though it wouldn't be awful, I think that when it does go in, when the money does go in, we are always behind or flipping, and I'm not really fond of getting it in when we're never ahead. So yeah, with this board, it's the same kind of board as earlier. It's a board that he can miss very often, but equally, it's even though we would have some fold equity when we check raise, there's not much point because we can still bluff him off at certain points later in hand. And from his perspective, what our hands could consist of would be things like pocket pairs that don't really want to get it in pre-flop, so 9s, maybe 10s, 8s, and 7s, and then a lot of things like ace queen and maybe like king jack suited. So when we check call here, our range is actually a lot stronger than his, so we can definitely be bluffing at some point in the hand if we don't pick up some kind of equity, which we do. We pick up a queen and he barrels at that as well. I think this is a card that he would bluff at quite often anyway. It is a hand, it is a card that is above a lot of the pocket pairs that we're calling with, so it's a scare card to our range. But also he may just be barreling with a single diamond, which he would be barreling pretty much any turn. It's good to keep in mind here that the ace of diamonds sometimes would check back here, because just if he had the bare ace of diamonds, like ace king with the ace of diamonds, that he may check back here quite often, because he'd be scared of us shoving the turn and him losing all his equity. He wouldn't be able to, it's called realizing your equity, and he wouldn't be able to if we shove the turn, if he had the ace of diamonds. So if a diamond does come off, he will have the ace of diamonds less often than if he checked back, I think. So I decided to shove here. I think that we're never really in bad shape, and I don't think he's going to be bluffing the river too often. And I would like to protect my hands just in case he has just got the ace or king of diamonds and wanted to keep barreling. And yeah, I don't think there's any more value to be got from other hands like ace king, because I think we're done from that. We just don't want to let them peel another card. Also, by shoving here, we could be, from his point of view again, we could be shoving hands that we say like 10s and 8s with the diamond as a kind of semi-bluff hand. And this does mean that we can still be hero called by hands like, well, 10s and jacks. And also if he has king queen, then or queen x at all, then he'll be calling. So, but he folds, and it's fine to do that. It's fine to shove the turn, I think, just in that spot, because we want to be playing a bit lower variance post flop, just because it's so much. Your tournament life is worth so much, and we're pretty much guaranteed to get a lot of chips. But in the small occasions where he does outdraw us on the river, then the EV that we lose there is just hideous in comparison to how much we gain from getting a bit more value. Ace-9 raise again. I realise I've been raising a lot recently, and yeah, it's fine. I think we're gonna get played back a bit by people, but not too much. I'm back. Yeah, I was just doing a few quick calculations with my friend, and we think at this point we'll be around the final 3 tables. So at this point, I'll probably mention that Master Scott, he was, I think, tournament chip leader or maybe second, and he was talking a lot in the chat box, and I was talking a lot back to him just because he seemed quite, I don't know, he seemed quite eager to gamble, and I don't think he was a very good player. And he was speaking a lot about how he had a lot of money and he just wanted to get it all in. And I was speaking a lot to him and saying the same kind of thing, but equally I was not actually willing to gamble. I was trying to get in a good spot with him, and yeah, he was saying to everyone about how he was just going to bluff every hand and bet every hand. So yeah, he was a pretty wild opponent at that point. So it's just good to point out that I was changing my play a lot due to that, because he was playing ridiculously. So yeah, I may make a few plays that would seem ridiculous at first. It's just because he was a wild card throughout the final 3 tables. He made the tournament a lot more interesting as well. So yeah, there's still quite a lot of hands to go, but I'll flick through them reasonably fast. So yeah, I would probably usually consider 3-betting Ace-3, but again, that guy was never folding. Ace-Deuce, no. Yeah, I think I decided to tighten up a bit at this point, just due to table dynamics. Everyone was playing really aggressively, and I thought if I played a bit tighter, then as soon as I hit any kind of value hand, I can get it in with good equity. And also, I was carded. Yeah, I'm not defending the 9-7 there quite. I feel that against a late position raise I would, but against an under the gun, I don't. I think he's just got too strong range to play against with a weak hand like that. So yeah, Master Scott, you can see they're just not caring about anything and just shoving. Equally, he was a really nice guy to speak to. So yeah, I pickle here with the King Queen. I think it's too strong to 3-bet, because for the same reasons I said in part 1, it's a hand where if we get 4-bet, we have to fold, and we don't want to fold a hand as good as King Queen at this point. And we are just about ahead of the Degeneral's range. When he checks, I think he is going to usually have just something like I don't know, a pair of jacks or something with marginal showdown value, like a weak ace maybe, that he didn't want to c-bet, and when he bets, we're folding. We'd be happy to check down King Queen just in case he's checking down King Queen, King Jack, or King 10. But carrying on as we were. I probably opened 6s, I imagine. So yeah, here I think Ramiro's range is going to be quite defined, just because we are reasonably shallow, and he's going to have quite a few pairs, like 9s, 8s, and maybe 10s if he didn't want to 3-bet them, and also lots of super broadways. So I think we can c-bet quite profitably. We're kind of semi-bluffing if he does have an overpair to the 7s, and we're folding out lots of his other hands. When he raises, I feel there is not much we can do. We do have quite a strong hand, but I think I was feeling pretty stubborn that day, like in the other hand, and I'd like to see myself fold here. The good thing about not folding these flops in the long term, though, is that people will be less willing to make plays against you. And if you show that you are quite resilient on flops, then, especially with Ramiro, I know I've been playing against him a lot in cash, I feel that he'll be a lot less likely to try and, I don't know, try and push us around or anything. But yeah, when he jams the turn, I feel that his hand is quite often just going to be aces and kings here. it doesn't make too much sense to jam a boat. So if you have 5s, 4s, or if you have quads, I don't think he would. So I imagine, yeah, he's just slow played ace kings. He might be semi bluffing with like 9-8 of spades, but I'd be quite confident in saying he had slow played overpair there. So yeah, as we can see, Master Scott doing his thing. He's got quite a nice stack, to be fair. And again, and yeah, this is the reason I was tightening up. I was just going to show you a few of those, just because you can see it's kind of nice we have a semi position on him. But yeah, and with him in the small blinds, don't want to be opening quite light. Ace queen suited, we're pretty much not folding unless there's a hell of a lot of action behind us. This is for just over 10 bigs, it's like 12 bigs or something. So yeah, we're not folding. And he has ace 10. We can see that we're ahead of what he was shoving. Even his, even the top of his range, I think we still have a lot of equity against. Here with ace jack, we are 25-ish bigs, I think. 24-ish bigs, I think. Effective stack anyway. Oh no, yeah, no, but yeah, sorry about that. My 16 times table is not too good. Yeah, we're about 17 bigs with one of the players and a bit less of the other. But anyway, all in all, we have ace jack, and anything under 20 bigs, ace jack from the small blind versus the button is going to be profitable to shove. And here with eights, it's a bit different to normal because I think lots of the fact that he just raise folded the previous hand means that lots of his premium hands like ace king, ace queen, and pairs above, like 10s and above, will all be raise calling, because I just shoved on him once, so he will still be in the mindset that someone's going to shove him again. And there's lots of shove stacks, so I feel that a lot of his hands here he's going to be shoving are going to be deuces through 9s, and then maybe stuff like king queen, and we are ahead of that range, so we shove. And yeah, he's shoving a7, so I think he's just going to have a lot weaker range than usual after he raise folds the last hand. And yeah, that's something that I probably was paying attention to at the point, just because this is final 3 tables, that I will be paying attention to table dynamics now. So yeah, I just checked, and this is the final 2 tables, so there'll be a lot of battling and trying to abuse the final table bubble when it gets down to it, and people will be pushing up the aggression quite a lot. But I feel that we won't be doing that much, just because Master Scott is on our table. So yeah, we raised ace 9, is kind of standard, and ace jack we're also going to be doing the same. And it's a really good position to just abuse all the shorter stacks and stay out of the way of the bigger stacks, because like the normal bubble, it's like the normal bubble, but it's a lot bigger, because the pay jumps between 9th and 1st are so much bigger than the pay jumps between, you know, all the other things. So people are going to just be trying to get to the final table and ladder up a lot. Whereas this is where you need to be aware of your table. I think all the players that don't usually get to this stage in tournaments, they'll be tightening their ranges a lot, and all the players that will be I don't know, they'll be regs, they'll be good tournament players, they'll definitely be getting a lot more aggressive at this stage. And I feel that if you want to be a competent tournament player, I feel that this is the time where you should be stepping up and raising a hell of a lot more, and just abusing all the people that do want to ladder. I don't open 4-3 suited there, it's got Master Scott on the big blind, no need. Defending Jack 9 I think is fine. Mr. Bitter is, I think, a good player, so I think he's a really good player actually, and he's going to be opening quite wide, so we can defend a bit wider as well, especially with hands that it's not really an implied odds hand, so we're just going to be playing on face value, so we want him to have a weaker range. Whereas if we were defending with something like pocket deuces or something, we'd want the person to be raising a stronger range, so we have higher implied odds. And see this sweat, and someone doubles up through Master Scott. I think both of them played that finely. Okay. Nothing much here to open Jack 9. Nope. Here against Master Scott, I would like. I don't think I'd ever 3-bet here. He and I were speaking in a lot, and we're both big stacks, but I'd like to see myself defend, just because he wasn't that good a player, and I imagine I have quite a large post-flop edge. And also, defending out the big blind with an ace, it gets you quite a lot of money, because people bet a lot when aces come, whether it's on the flop or if they double barrel when the turn's an ace. You just generally get a lot of money from it. And Master Scott bets 2/3 pot, and quite ashamedly, but I think I still support the decision. I fold. We probably have the best hand, but there is no need to take the slightly higher EV decision, because it's a spot on the table where he is the only person that can take us out, and he's the only person that can apply that much pressure, so we kind of have to let him. Okay, with ace 9 here, I wouldn't mind seeing a 3-bet, just because Mr. Bitter's been opening quite a decent amount, and we haven't been 3-betting that much, but equally, no, it's also fine not to, because we don't need to play too aggressively against the good players when there are worse players. Here with 7s, again, I could 3-bet, but it's Master Scott, and I just don't want to get it in against a deep stack. And yeah, it checks through, and I feel that it checks down until Master Scott bets. Yeah, we may have had the best hand there, but there's no point in bluffing. It's a wet board. It's quite often going to hit a lot of people, and it's a spot where Mr. Bitter, if he did have a really good hand, he would probably be checking, expecting Master Scott to bet. So for instance, if he had, say, a set of 3s here, he would check the flop, obviously, because he expects Master Scott to bet. And even when the turn comes, quite often it goes Master Scott bets, and I call if we're thinking from Mr. Bitter's position. So because Master Scott's betting so much, he would be checking all 3 streets with all of his premium hands, expecting him to bet and get more value from it that way. So there's very little point in me betting into one person that hates folding and one person that is going to have all of the premium hands in his range. I'm opening Jack 7 into 3 shove stacks. That'll be suicide. And that's why you don't open. Yeah, I imagine I fold that and that. Also imagine I'm folding Queen 6 to pretty much anyone. There's an argument there to 3-bet 9/8, but I think at this stage I would rather 3-bet hands that have high cards in, so blockers in, because they're not going to be peeling as wide, so we just want to make it less likely that they have a good hand. So for instance, if we have something like Ace Jack in our hand, we'll be blocking Ace King Jacks, Ace Jack itself, and other hands with aces and jacks in, whereas 9/8, we're not blocking any hands apart from 9s and 8s. So when it comes to the stage where they're not going to be peeling light, blockers become a lot more important, I think, as opposed to post-flop playability. At this point, I think, Master Scott is a bit shorter stack than before. And remember I said, wouldn't have happened. Wouldn't have happened. Wouldn't have hit that flush. And you can see Master Scott, he was a very, very aggressive player, and he was bluffing a lot, but he also knew how to value bet quite big when he had a hand. Because lots of aggressive players, if they're not very good, they will be betting when they don't have a hand, and as soon as they hit a hand, they'll just start betting small or start checking because they don't want to chase off anyone. But Master Scott, he was very aware that he also had to bet big when he hit a hand, and you can see that his aggressive style pays a lot, because Malacca made a call that I'm sure he wouldn't have done against other players. And that's why it's such a wild card to have on the table when someone like that is playing so aggressively, because it just changes so many decisions about so many of the like, even if you're up against like 3-way here, it changes so many decisions. Like for instance here, I would be betting all of my flushes because Master Scott is so aggressive, and if I had Ace 4 of spades, I would never check here, because on the off chance that it checks round, I miss lots of value from Master Scott bluffing or stacking off with a jack. So Mr. Bitter now knows, or should know, that my range is going to be basically capped, which means that it's not going to have any premiums in. So it checks around. I decided to check the jack just for that reason. I think I'm just going to get bluffed a lot, and Master Scott, being Master Scott, has a stab at it. It turns out Mr. Bitter probably had a high spade. So I'll start playing quite a few of the hands now. Just to get a sense of table dynamics, I'll play through a lot of them. I imagine a6, well, no, probably not doing something. Well, it's close actually. It looks like a lot. It's only 8 big blinds, and he's shoving from the cutoff, so I would expect to see a call here. I imagine he's shoving things like King Queen a lot, and Queen Jack, and 9-10, and other things. And he's shoving 8, so we were behind, but from an 8 blind shove from the cutoff, I think that's fine to call with an ace. I think any ace. Especially since we're getting pot odds against other stuff. We're almost getting good enough odds against 8s, I think. So close enough. Yeah, we're getting kind of short stack to this point. We're less than 20 bigs, so we're definitely on a reshove stack. Usually we'd be reshoving against players like Master Scott because he's opening loads, but I feel that he was calling off quite light as well, so I don't think that was going to be a thing. I think that we'd just be reshoving a wider value range and not many hands like suited connectors. So just because he's going to be calling off light, ace king being one of them, and it's an easy game when that happens. Scare right now. Exospora there shoves 7 bigs under the gun. I'm not sure if I like it, especially since he's shoving into Master Scott's. Even though the big blind is about to hit him, I don't like the shove with 8-9 there. He's getting called so often, and he's behind so often. So yeah, but we are happy to take the chips there. So yeah, I just checked, and Exospora went out in 12th, which means there's 2 people left until the final table, meaning that what I said earlier about people trying to get to the final table is a lot more prevalent now as we edge closer. So we get a walk, which is kind of nice. I think another thing about having Master Scott on, I was pretty much the only person that was speaking to him that much on the table, and just creating a friendly thing. We were just talking about where we come from and like the cities that we live in, and just creating a friendly dynamic like that. I think it does help in these tournaments. It makes them give us walks, and it makes us play back less often, and people expect us to play back less when we're being friendly. So I think it's one of the most underestimated things in tournament play. It's just talking to the big stacks and talking to the people you think will be a problem. Yeah, so you see me make a ridiculous fold that I would never be making against anybody else. But with King 10, we're on a decent stack. We're on 28 bigs, and yeah, we would never be folding this usually. We'd probably be shoving, but because Master Scott is raising and calling so light, I did not want to. Because if he calls with something like ace deuce offsuit, we're actually behind, even though it'd be a ridiculously bad call by him. So yeah, I make what seems like a silly fold, but I like it, especially since we're on the final table bubble, and I feel that we have a decent enough table where we still have an edge on the field. Fold ace deuce there, I think most people would be opening that, auto-opening it. I like to fold in that spot. I like the fold because there are 2 people that be shoving, and we have 1 blocker, but I don't think it's that important at all. Sorry, I'll pause for a second. Alright, going back. We are pretty much down to lost 10 now, I think. So yeah, this is the point where it's going to be people are the most aggressive. Mr. Bit is going to be opening up a lot now. He's table chip leader, and QC and Malacca are going to be tightening up quite a lot, I think. And Master Scott is Master Scott, and he's just going to be mental, no matter what his chip stack is. So yeah, we raise ace on the button. It'd be really bad not to raise it, I think, even though there is a shove stack ahead of us and a player that's going to play back. But yeah, we get shoved on, and it's for not many big blinds. It's for 13.5 big blinds, and I think we're ahead of his shoving range. So we're playing to. So when we're raising, we're playing to raise call against QC. And yeah, we sucked out, ish. So this might be final table. Yeah, okay. So we're at the final table, and the pay jumps here. I'll bring them up on the screen. Hang on. Okay, no, I won't bring them up on screen. That was pretty awful. Ninth got paid 3.6k, and then first got paid 49k without chop. So yeah, people are going to be very, very tight, I think, if they're not used to these kind of tournaments, and they'll be trying to ladder up quite a lot. Whereas I think the people who have won a lot of these or have been run deep, they'll be playing very aggressively in comparison. So at this point in a tournament, I always go on sharkscope.com and just see how many players we can search. And most of them, they were sickos. They were very good tournament players. A few of them, they weren't so good. Yeah, so I'll start playing pretty much hand by hand. Get ace king, and it's quite good because we have a large stack here, and people are going to give us a lot less credit than usual. And Master Scott, our favourite person, calls instead of 3-betting for once, which is kind of annoying. And here, I don't think Master Scott is ever going to fold a pair. But also, there would be some merit to c-betting, just because I think when we check back, he is going to be betting 100% of his range, almost. So c-betting would be okay just to fold him off some overcards, but I think against Master Scott I would prefer, yeah, I check back. I think that's fine. And as much as that does look bad against that specific player, I think that is still correct, even though we do have the best hand a decent amount of the time. Also, he wasn't absolutely awful. I think his range will still be reasonably strong for calling out the small blind. He was semi-aware of the pay jumps, but also he was still talking a lot on the table and saying that he just wanted to get all in. And here instead of 3-betting ace-jack, I think into 2 big stacks, it's a lot better to play the lower variance style. Whilst there are stacks that are a lot smaller than us, we can be 3-betting those people, but we should be playing a bit tighter against these guys. And we'll watch that Master Scott was probably just floating already. Maybe a second pair. And yeah, player please is going to be playing extremely aggressively. But I feel that at some point he will probably realise how aggressive and ridiculous Master Scott is and maybe tighten up a bit, but not too much. So yeah, as you see, that there's no point really 3-betting as a bluff whilst Master Scott's in hand, because he's never folding, except post-flop. I think his mantra was if he puts a chip in pre, then he was never really folding unless someone shoved on him, and I hope we shove here. And yeah. We're so ahead of what he was raising, and even though there is the chance that we get called by the nerd guy or Master Scott and lose a chunk of our stack or all of our stack, it's just way too far ahead of Master Scott's range. And yeah, he folds. I remember at that point he showed like deuce 6 offsuit or something ridiculous, and made a fun comment. Here with 4s, I could quite easily peel. I could 3-bet, but I don't like 3-betting too much just because player please is an aggressive player and he knows that I can't really get it in pre-flop without aces or kings or queens or ace king. And a lot of what he expects me to 3-bet will not be those hands. So I think that he would just be applying a lot of pressure. And I could call, I could just peel, but equally I think EPAC will be shoving quite light, and Mr. Bitter and the nerd guy may be squeezing quite often. But it wouldn't be awful to call there. And nothing really happened there. Definitely still opening king 10 suited. It's just way ahead of the hands that we will be opening from mid position. Let's see what Master Scott's limping with. Could be fun. I think I remember this hand actually. Yeah, Master Scott is showing again that even though he checked back the turn, he was very willing to make thin value bet on the river, meaning that even though he only has second pair and the ace is a scare card to lots of people, he knows that he's got an aggressive image, so he's betting with more value hands than other people, because he's also betting as bluffs a lot more than other people. I think that's quite well played by him, apart from maybe not limp king queen offsuit under the gun. So I'll skip through some of the hands that won't look that interesting. Here with Master Scott again, I would 3-bet most people here, but we're folding, and we'll let him do his thing. And I think he'll just end up running out of fuel and busting himself. There's no need to try and push it. And yeah, you see him make another play and bets pot on the river with absolutely nothing. Oh yeah, I fold king 9 because the short stack's opened on the gun. He has been reasonably tight. I think he is a really good player as well, so he will be loosening up a bit, but not as much as he is still a short stack. So yeah, definitely raising ace 5. And you'll notice if you're on a final table, your stills will get through quite a lot more, especially if people are trying to ladder up. And this looks like somebody's on in. It's pretty fun. Yeah, I remember people didn't bust very quickly in this final table, so I'll probably skip through a few hands. There's not too much that happens that's that interesting that we're not involved in. I imagine we'd be playing queen 10 if folded to. And yeah, here I would quite often check back in a cash game. In a tournament, I think there is still a lot of merit just to playing the lower variance and not having to check back and then call 2 streets. I wouldn't mind if I went either way. The merit to betting is that we just get a lot of folds very quickly. We still get value from 9s as well. Yeah, checking back's fine, and we're definitely calling 1, and then we would have been folding the river to a big bet, I think, maybe even a small bet. But obviously we suck out. And now we need to be thinking about what kind of hands we can have here. What kind of queens we could have here especially. I feel that he wouldn't expect us to open queen 9 offsuit. I imagine he'd expect us to open all queen 10s offsuit and suited. And also maybe maybe pocket queens as well. So we actually have a reasonable amount of queens in our range. And when he checks, I don't think... Oh, and also ace queen maybe if we didn't see bet the flop. So yeah, that's quite a lot of queens in our range. So I imagine I should be betting. It depends what kind of player it is. If I give him a lot of credit of being a really good player, I should be betting quite small because we have so many value hands in our range and not many bluffs. But if it's a bad player, I feel I could probably bet quite big and just get paid by 2 pairs. So sizing what would defend. So I obviously thought he was a good player and bet small enough. And he had flopped the straight, which is a bit worrying. So I like the way Mr. Bitter played it as well, I think, just because there are so many queens in my range that it would be silly for him to bluff there, so he can't really value bet too much either. And I can still have ace queen, and he doesn't want to get stacked, so I like his check on the river. Let's watch Master Scott play. Always fun. Okay, so yeah, that's showing that Master Scott is not only an aggressive player, he's a bit of a station as well. Equally, he was a bit unlucky to run up against a set. And player please, showing that he's a very good player and betting quite thinly for value against Master Scott. I will pause the video here for a second and make a last part just for the final table, I think.
Yeah, we get it stacking. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. The flops I be smashing, the pots I be blasting. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. When the main event, man, that could never happen. The Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. Now you're picking up traction, getting action. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. Stack it up, cash it in, damn I win again. Many friends come to play, cause I'm on the internet. Better yet, I flop the turn and take a chance upon the river. I'll bluff you with the 7-2 offsuit, whatever's clever, call you all in while your chip stacks falling. Better believe the dealer, cause the game just started. Don't know the rules, you bet it all and then you risk it. If you wanna learn it, you should go online and hit up Grips it. Yeah, we get it stacking. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. The flops I be smashing, the pots I be blasting. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. When the main event, man, that could never happen. The Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. Now you're picking up traction, getting action. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. Ever since a young cat, wanna pocket stack with cash in the fast stack, crammed in the clam clip. Gotta get the action, gotta get it stacking. Dollars on the noggin, want a lot of transactions. Started as a little retarded, now with the knowledge, playing cards, flopping, bombarded, cause it was harder than I thought. Then I got on Grips.com, asking and got what I needed to beat him and get it stacking. Yeah, we get it stacking. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. The flops I be smashing, the pots I be blasting. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. When the main event, man, that could never happen. The Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. Now you're picking up traction, getting action. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. Yeah, you had to get it stacking. When the main event, man, that could never happen. The grips.com, how you had to get stacking. Now you're picking up traction, getting action. Grips.com, how you had to get it stacking. Yeah, we get it stacking. Grips.com, how you had to get it stacking. The flops I be smashing, and pots I be blasting. Grips.com, how you had to get it stacking.